Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope everything is good and great and wonderful and fantastic. Tonight, I gave away more of my stuff, my nerdy stuff. It's not nerdy stuff. It's just stuff, right? This year, not this physical year, 2021. I mean, this past calendar year. One of the things that M has really been helping me with is just letting go. And it's funny to hear myself say that, because what I mean is letting go of stuff. Because I don't really put a whole lot of value in stuff. I don't keep things because they mean something to me. There's a few precious objects in my life, but for the most part, stuff is just, I don't care. I'm not a keeper of things. I'm not a hoarder. But I hoard. That's the funny part. I don't throw things away. I mean, I throw garbage away. I'm not a hoarder. But what I mean is, beginning of last year, beginning of 2020, I had probably 400 to 500 games in my collection. I had 6 or 8 shelving units full of games upstairs, games in my office at work, games everywhere. The 95% of those games didn't get played ever. They were just there. But I kept them because they're potential. They're full of potential. It's not that I have feelings for them, or I picked this up there, or this means something because somebody gave it to me. I kept them because of their potential. There's opportunity to play those games. There's opportunity to enjoy that experience with somebody, so I'll just keep it. That's the kind of stuff that I keep. And I had a lot of it. So when M first started coming around, it's been almost 3 years now that she's been in my life. When M started coming around, there was a lot of that kind of stuff in this house. Just stuff, right? And we've been letting it go. And slowly I've been learning that there's really not potential. It's just space. It's just nobody's ever going to come play that game. And if they do, we could have played something else and it would have been fine, right? That's the thing. When you're given 500 choices, it's sometimes more difficult to make a decision than if I gave you 20 choices, right? And so the potential is, yes, maybe that game down there on that shelf that I last played in 2016 will get played again someday. But when that day comes, we could have just as easily picked one of the other games, and it would have been fine, and nobody would have been like, well, whatever happened to that, right? So I've been learning to let it go. I have my collection down to well under 100 games now, probably under 50. I probably have 40 games in this house right now, and that's it. And last week I got rid of... so at the beginning of last year, I asked one of my friends, do you want any of these games? I gave him first dibs because he's one of my closest gaming friends. He came over, picked all the stuff that he wanted. I said, is that it? He said, yeah. Then I took a huge chunk of games, totes full of games, to my library for game night one night and laid them out and said, everybody just take what you want. I don't want any of this. I brought back the few games from the library that I actually wanted to personally keep because they mean something to me, or I really enjoy playing them, and I wanted to play them here. And then I had maybe another 50 games or 60 games just sitting here that weren't doing anything. They were just sitting. And so I posted those on Facebook. We have a little Nerd Herd group here. Said, anybody want these? And somebody came and took them all. Take it all. Because I had a room that was just full of this stuff. It was full of the games. I still have my Nintendo 64 and my NES over there with game cartridges. They haven't been hooked up to a TV in 20 years, but they're there in case I want to play them, and I'm going to keep those. But I also had comic books. I had 3 giant totes full of role-playing game books from my role-playing game days. And I asked a work friend, I knew he was in a role-playing game, said, you want these? He said, yeah, take them. All of them. I mean, thousands of games. Thousands of dollars worth of games, thousands of dollars worth of role-playing books. Just take it. I don't want it anymore. It's not doing anything for me. And we've been slowly trying to clear that space out because it would be a really nice finished area. We're trying to put like maybe a couch in there and a TV and have a little gaming area, like a little private space that Em can go to when she wants to escape, when, you know, somebody can just go chill down here, or friends could come over and play video games or whatever without disturbing the main floor. But in order to do that, I have to let go of stuff. And tonight it was boxes of comics. I collected comics when I was a kid. I was really into Batman, and I bought all of the Batman titles my high school years. And then I stopped reading for a long time, and I got kind of fed up with it because the recycling of the story just kind of gets annoying after a while. And then when DC did the New 52 thing, I said, I'm back. And so I went and signed up at my comic book shop and picked up probably 10 titles a month. And then I picked up a whole bunch of indies because I was always into the eclectic stuff. And I've had all that sitting here all this time. And so I messaged a friend and said, do you know anybody like comic books? He said, yep, this guy. And I just dropped off boxes of comics to him, and he was super happy to take them. And it feels like, you know, the interesting thing is it doesn't feel like anything. You know, I'm letting go of all of this kind of nerdy part of myself, but I'm not letting that part of me go. I'm just letting the stuff go, right? I still love comics, and I'll still read them, you know, but when I want to read a comic now, I would rather just wait and buy the omnibus and just, you know, read a whole volume, because buying individuals is like, it's too much effort. I don't feel like going to the comic shop every week to pick up this week's. I'll just buy the trade paperbacks or whatever. Board games. I love board games. I'll play board games the rest of my life, but I'll just keep the 30 or so that I actually enjoy playing, and I'll stop bringing home stuff that I know I'll never play. I would go to conventions and just bring home stacks of games that I traded with, you know, I traded other publishers for, or people just gave to me because they're friends of mine in the industry and they wanted me to have something. And I knew that I would never play these games, but I brought them home anyway. And I kept them because the potential was maybe somebody else will say, hey, I really want to play that game. Do you have it? And I go, yeah, I have it. And now I'm kind of the hero. And that's bullshit, right? So it's like I'm letting go of the nerdy side, but I'm not. I'm just letting go of the physical representation of it. And in the process, I'm getting a much more organized and usable space out of my house, right? The whole upstairs has been purged. There's still maybe a little bit of stuff in the dining room and a little bit of stuff in the bedroom that could be purged. But for the most part, the whole upstairs has been purged. Now it's time to work down here. And that includes this shop. I'm purging a whole lot in here. I have scraps. I don't know if you can see this, but I have like a scrap bin here that I barely, every now and then I'll pick something out of there and use it. It just needs to go away. I'm going to cut all of that up and burn it. The scrap bin by my table saw just needs to go away. Sheet goods, scraps, cardboards. I mean, I just have stuff. And it just needs to disappear. I'm just tired of it. So it's been an interesting experience letting go of all of these things because, like I said at the start of this, I don't have emotional attachments to any of it. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me emotionally. It just means something to me as potential. It's a potential thing. You know, I keep all the books that I've ever owned because the potential is I might read them one day. Have I? No. I very rarely read a book again. But I have them all because for me, the potential is I might want to revisit that story one day. Maybe it's time to start letting some of them go. I don't know yet. Haven't figured that out, but I'm learning. I'm learning to let things go. How do you do with that? How good are you at letting things go? And when it's time, do you have any resentment for letting things go? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is elide. It is a verb meaning to leave out a sound or syllable when speaking, to eliminate the distinctive barrier separating levels. When Catherine elides the G's at the end of certain words, she betrays her southern origins. Elide. E-L-I-D-E. To eliminate the distinctive barrier separating levels, does that mean like literally levels? Like, do you elide a bank or something, like a step? I don't know what that part of it means. But the G's elides the G's out of the end of certain words. Something? Yeah, that's southern.